So let us go, and now we will go to our model, the AMOS model, and we will go to our overall measurement model, right? This was the model that we were working. So the first step that we will be performing in order to test the moderation is we will do the data imputation. So how do you do it? We go to analyze. We are now going to impute these latent factor values, the true factor values that we have been able to estimate: leadership, procedural justice, and creative behavior. So we are now going to go to analyze and data imputation. Okay, so we will do this, and you will see this kind of a window opens up. Regression imputation. So this is fine. And then file names. It will automatically create a new data name, data file, data SEM underscore C, right? And then you simply click on impute. And it will say that the following completed data file was created. You will, wherever you are working, okay, so here it is in this folder. I will go and check this file. So if I go to my desktop where I am working, okay, data, I will now see that there is a file, new file that has been created with the name data SEM underscore C. If I double click this file, it opens up, and what do we find? We find that these were the same items that we were having, age, gender, and then towards the end, you will see that it has written down the latent factor values of our, so these are the three dimensions: AMP, LEX, and task orientation. And then we have leadership, procedural justice, and creative behavior. And it has written these values for 557 observations. So these are the case numbers, right? So we have got our factor values. Now, if we want to compute the moderation, so what do? We will first create the product term lead and procedural justice. Lead and procedural justice. So I will first compute, and in moderation we also know that we are told that if we have continuous variables, we should mean center the variables. So we will first analyze the means of the data. So let us analyze the means of these latent factors. So let us report the mean. Right, so I say continue, and then I do paste. Right, so this is, I'm again writing in my syntax file, computing means of latent procedural justice and latent. Okay, so I am now going to run this thing. It has also reported the frequency, but that is not so important. Where has it gone? Yes. So this is the number that we wanted to check. The mean is 2.87 and 3.414. So we will now compute the mean centered value. So we'll compute the PJ mean centered is equal to procedural justice minus the mean value was 2.8701. This is the syntax, and then again compute variable lead underscore mean centered. This is lead minus 3.4105. Right, so this is
Sir, could you please repeat why we have to mean center?
because in moderation, we should always mean center the continuous variables in order to make our coefficients interpretable, right? So this is a rule that is followed in moderation. Otherwise, the coefficients that you will get, they are not interpretable. So we always mean center the continuous variables, and in this case, both the x variable and the procedural, the moderator variable, both of these are continuous. So we should mean center these variables.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So we are now going to compute this. This is a means. So we have a new variable pj underscore mc, and we will have lead underscore mc. Right? So we can test this in our yes. So we have in our data file, we have got two variables. Now we will also compute the product term. So we will now multiply. So we will create the product. Let me call it as lead underscore pj, and we will call it as lead underscore mc multiplied with pj underscore. So I'm now creating the product term. Lead, the mean centered variables have been multiplied. Okay, and now I'm going to let me copy this syntax and paste it in my interaction term.
Sir, can you just repeat this particular command again, or maybe you explain?
So compute variable, I'm going to create a new variable. I'm calling it as lead underscore pj. You can give it any name that you like. And this is made up of leadership multiplied with procedural justice. Right? So that
So
is
the mean
what
values lead
because,
so lead MC is lead minus MC value, just we created. That's
yes,
what?
so yes, so you will multiply the mean centered variables, right? So pj
Yes,
underscore and lead mean centered.
Okay, sir.
Right? The mean centered variables that you have just computed. Okay, so that is what we are doing. And now I am going to say performing moderation analysis. Okay, and so in order to perform moderation analysis, what do? We do regression, linear, right? So what is our dependent? Our dependent is created behavior. What is our independent? So in the first, we can enter all of our control variables. These are the control variables. Then we enter our variable of interest, so lead, and so this is the first block. And then we want to check what happens separately. We want to check what happens to the product term. So this is, you can either enter it in a second block. So I'm entering it, this is called as entering method of doing regression. So first, the software will compute the regression with only these variables, all of these. So we will have 6 variables. Then it will perform one more regression where it will add this product term to the regression, and then we can look at whether there is R square change. So let us, in the statistics, we'll also ask the software to report the R square change. Okay, so I will just show you what happens when you, right? Everything else remains the same. Nothing much to do here, right? Let us paste the syntax. So this is the regression in blockwise, and let us see what the results are. Now, when we do this analysis, okay, so it runs two models. Model 1, you can see in the output, model 1 and model 2. In model 1, it has entered only those variables that we had entered. So PJ, education, these were 4 control variables, and PJ and lead. Okay. Then it reports, and then in the second model, it has added lead underscore PJ. What has been the R square? The R square for the first model was 0.189, and for the second, it is 0.190. Now this shows that there is no significant change in R square. That means this variable would have come out to be non-significant. Lead underscore PJ. That means there was no moderation effect. R square change. There is no R square change between model 1 and model 2, which is also shown by the F statistic here, 0.628. It is not a significant change in the regression, in the R square. And so you see the coefficients. Model 1 has only the 6, so it has the 4 controls, and then leadership and PJ. So leadership is significant, as is the procedural justice, which we have already seen in our AMOS results when we were doing the regression, the analysis. But if you look at this one, lead underscore PJ, which is the interaction term, this does not come out to be significant. So the T statistic is not significant, which shows that the interaction is not significant. And this is the beta 3 that we were saying, the coefficient of the interaction term, and this is not significant. And hence we can say that there is no moderation in this case, right? So that is something that we can conclude from the analysis. So this is how you can do the analysis and test moderation by first imputing the values of the latent factors and then running the analysis in SPSS.